Hey guys, how's it going? Today is going to be a pretty challenging hike as I'm going to go to the Gunung Machinchang Peak, which is approximately 701 meters above sea level. I'm starting this video at the entrance to the 7 wells. When we reach the last waterfall, that's when we'll enter into the wilderness and continue on up towards the summit. I've been here before with Lena and we've done the 7 wells. From what I remember, there are a lot of stairs to climb. So this one's a bit more challenging. I'm going to bypass the waterfall and just continue straight. It is a little bit later in the day, so I want to hit the peak as fast as I can. We will get some of the waterfall footage when I get to the top of the stairs. Realistically, in a perfect world where I wasn't such an idiot, I would have started this hike off at about 6 AM. But me being me, we're starting it at 2:30 in the day in the scorching heat. I could have sworn the last marker said 180 steps to go, but this one's telling me there's 80 steps to go. It doesn't seem right. There's no way I covered 100 steps there. Or it could be I'm just insanely fit after my 3 hikes in Kuala Lumpur. Who knows? But anyway. I made it to the top of the waterfall, so I'm just up here at the wells. You can see behind me here, there's lots of people chilling out. When I was up here last year, it wasn't the dry season, so there was a lot more rainfall. These wells can become quite slippy, and if there is a big downpour, you will literally be washed down. It's taking you with you, so have a lot of precaution if you are chilling out in them wells. There is a railing just below me here, which is kind of your last line of defense before you go over the edge of that waterfall. There has been accidents here in the past. Always bear that in mind, especially when you're at the top of the waterfall. You can see just up here in the distance, this is the cable car, which will take you up to the Sky Bridge, which is literally on top of the mountain that we're going to trek up to. We're just going to be on a slightly different peak, but we will see the Sky Bridge from the top of the mountain. As we are under the clock, I think we're just going to push on now to the summit. Okay, let's rock and roll. There really is nothing like a big warning sign just before you enter into the forest to continue on the hike. Little bit of a hop and then you enter into the rainforest. Lots of warning signs. There is a QR code to scan to check in before you continue on. I believe our next pit stop is going to be the Blue Lagoon, but we're going to continue on up to the peak. The sign does say it's 2 hours of a trek from this point. From reading through some of the comments last night, the last 400 meters is literally scrambling using a rope to get to the top. I'm going to shut up now and we're going to continue on this trek up towards the peak. It's so nice just to get out of the sun as it's extremely hot over by the wells. So this shade is just what I needed right now. I don't want to jinx myself, but it's actually pretty straightforward. Other than the steps getting up to the wells, that's kind of like the only challenging part, but it's really not that bad. When you come to the first little bridge after the 7 wells, you know you're on the right track. I just came across a little monkey on the trail. And we got 2 more little monkeys just here behind me. Hello. Loads of monkeys. So on that note, if you are doing the trail, and you have any loose items on the side of your bag, just be cautious, as monkeys can be a little bit cheeky and will come down and from your bag. At the next bridge crossing here, and so far the trail's been absolutely beautiful. I've actually met a few people that I would have seen leaving before me on their way back. I genuinely will never read another comment on Google Maps ever again, as there's been so many kind of mixed reviews about this trail, even to the peak, where it's extremely challenging, brings so much water with you and everything. I've done a lot of hiking over the years, but as I got older I started to get a little bit lazier, and since the new year I've taken up hiking again. Now this will be my 4th hike since the start of the new year, so I wouldn't necessarily say I'm super fit, you know, but some of the Google reviews made this out to be absolutely killer. Hopefully I'm not going to eat my words, but fingers crossed it's like this for the rest of the trail. Okay, I've come to the signage here and it's indicating that the blue pool is just over to the right and the trail to the summit is straight ahead. The sign here is indicating that it's another 3.5 hours to the peak, approximately just under 2 kilometers. When I go over to the blue pool here, I'm just going to sit down, check out the GPS, and I'm just going to re-evaluate everything. Am I allowing myself enough time to get to the summit and make it back down? Yeah, surely it can't take 3.5 hours. Okay, let's go to the pool, get some footage, re-evaluate everything, and then we'll continue on. It is dry season here in Langkawi at the moment, so there isn't that much downflow. The pool itself is pretty cool. There are some other tourists up here, and I'd imagine if it is a busy day there's going to be a lot of people standing around this pool. If you are making the hike from the wells up to the pool, it's quite moderate and I recommend it, you know. Lots of wildlife, lots of sounds, and yeah, it's a nice little reward. Once you get here you can have a dip in the pool. We're going to continue on our trek. I was just speaking to a French tourist there, and I did ask him if he's going to continue on to the peak. He reminded me that you're not allowed to continue on unless you have a guide. However, I've watched quite a few videos on this now, and a lot of people do go on up to the peak. When I paid my entry in, I told the guy I was going to the 701 peak, and he said, cool, he said, just bring enough water. My dilemma is, do I continue on without a guide, or do I just call that a day? It's currently 3:30, the sun does set at 7:30, so realistically that's about a 4-hour gap to get to the peak and get back down. So I'm going to interpret that 3.5 hours is for a very moderate pace. I am literally going to fly through this. Okay, let's rock and roll. I'm really just taking my time kind of trekking through, as it's really dense, but I could hear all this laughter in the distance and I was kind of like, man, what is that? So the closer I got, it was just kind of 2 young Europeans absolutely breaking themselves, you know. They got 1 hour into it and they just gave up, but they said I can do it. I've made it to the start of the rope line, and from time to time I do see little indicators pointing towards the summit. We're just going to follow this rope line and hopefully that'll keep us on track. Quite a lot of fallen trees. It's completely overgrown above me, so there's not much light getting down. And another important thing to remember is we are on Langkawi Island, and it is home to numerous different venomous snakes and species. Don't be an absolute idiot like me doing this on your own. Always go with somebody. If you pay attention to the sounds, you can literally hear what's lurking around you. Always be very careful when you're going up these kind of staircases in the rainforest, or if you're stepping over rocks, because you don't necessarily know what's tucked in underneath it. Okay. I just came across this sign here. It's saying 905 meters down and 55 meters up. In the distance I can see a hut, so I think I'm going to take my first little pit stop at the hut. When you're doing adventurous treks like this, it's very important to identify a few landmarks. That way, if you do kind of get disorientated or lost, you'll be able to identify one of your landmarks. As we are deep in the forest here, these are the only landmarks we have, as we can't really see anything above us, and when you look around everything looks the same. Okay, let's continue up to this little hut here. I'll take a mini pit stop and rehydrate. This sign does have an emergency number to call if you do require assistance. It just sucks that there's no phone signal. Okay, finished up at the pit stop, and now we're gonna continue on. We do have the rope guiding us, and now it's starting to get steep. Oh, this is going to be a good workout. Now that I'm doing a few trekking videos, I want to be as honest as possible. I'm not going to over exaggerate anything. I'm just going to say it how it is, as I have seen a few videos about this trail and some of them are like over exaggerated. It's steep, I'm not gonna lie. It may get steeper, and we're still not entirely sure what awaits us up here. For anyone getting into these jungle treks, there's a good piece of information, and it's about the leaves. So if you look at the leaves to one side, for example here, they're fluffy. Well, if you look at the leaves on the path, they're flat and they're dirty. Clean leaves, fluffy, dirty leaves, flattened. If you do find yourself wandering a little bit off the trail, check the leaves, as the leaves will indicate if other people have passed the same way. The sign is literally indicating that we're only 300 meters above sea level. I'm going to double check that on my watch, but if that's accurate, it means we have a 400 meter scramble to do. It's 4 o'clock now. The sign is saying 400 meters, and I need to be off this mountain by 7:30. That means if I give myself 1 hour to get to the top, it would be 5 o'clock, and that will give me 2 hours to get back down off the mountain. 2 hours is a serious ask, but I'm not paying any fines, so I will literally sprint down this mountain. I just met a couple of people from Belarus. They didn't quite make it to the top, as they said it gets extremely difficult, but they did show me the rock that they made it to. They estimated about 2 hours, but it was a mother and daughter. Oh man, what am I getting myself into? Okay, the people in the comments on Google were not lying. This is extremely steep. You do have a rope to guide you, but if it's raining, I do not recommend doing this at all. This is extremely steep, and it is another 400 meters from this point. I have my altitude on my watch, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to benchmark 100-meter pit stops. The trail gets insanely steep and you really do have to watch your footing, as I didn't really want to slide down there. Thankfully the weather's dry today, it's not too slippy. This is a serious challenge, man, it really is. I'm just looking up the trail and it's like, definitely not easy by any means. This is actually quite a steep descent here, back down to the rope. So make sure you have good grips on your shoes, that's all I'll say. And I would not want to do this when it's wet. But part of me kind of wants to do it when it's wet. I think it'd be more fun. This section here, you can really tell that if there's a heavy downpour, this will all be water gushing down. I can literally just see glimpses of light coming from between the trees. But you're very much secluded here, and because you don't have any distant landmarks, it kind of plays with your head a little bit. You know, am I making any progress? My watch is telling me that I'm just slowly gaining meter by meter by meter, but this definitely isn't easy by any means, that's for sure. Okay. Lots of crazy sounds coming from the tree above me. Listen to this. I've reached like the first flat section. Where I just came from is insanely challenging. After this flat section, it's just more climbing and climbing and climbing. Oh. I've gone through about 2 litres of water so far, as it's insanely humid. I'm playing mind games as well, like I'm making excuses, like I'm not giving myself enough time to get down. It's 10 to 5 now, so where I thought it was going to take 1 hour, realistically this is a 2-hour stretch. Oh man. I've come this far, I know I'm the last person, there's literally nobody else ahead of me. So I'm weighing up all the pros and cons. Do I want to continue on, or should I just call it quits here and head back to the wells and just chill out like a normal person, you know, do a little bit of sightseeing. It's the mind games. Why do I do this to myself, you know? I need to take a minute to myself here, like, do I really want to push on? My head is on fire, I'm sweating buckets. It's easily 1 more hour of just a constant climb using a rope. Downhill it's extremely steep as well, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge going back down. So I don't know, man, being a very competitive person, I hate when something might actually beat me, you know, and just that feeling of feeling defeated. Okay, I'm going to take a minute here and just weigh up all the pros and cons. Do I want to continue on? Okay, I'm currently at 510 meters altitude. So if I push on another 90 meters of this climb, at least I know I made it to the 600 meter mark, and then it's just 100 meters to the top. 90 meters seems like nothing if you're just out on a trail, but by no means is this a trail, man. Like, I don't even know if the camera justifies how steep this climb actually is. Okay, 90 more meters and then I'll reevaluate everything. I've had to take my hat off just to allow my head to cool down. This one little section here is insanely steep, but I can see light at the end of it, and I'm just praying that that's the peak. Sign of relief, we're definitely nearing the peak of the mountain. My watch is telling me 635 meters above sea level. So that would indicate that there's about 70 meters to the peak. This peak here is going to be the new landmark. The section I literally just came up, I was holding on with both arms to the rope. That wasn't even a leg workout, man. That was my arms, my back, everything had to get into that. 70 meters to go, and I'm just going to push on. I came all this way, you know. Since I've started this trek, I've been just battling the time, because it's so important to give yourself a little bit of leeway and to allow yourself enough time to get back down the mountain before it gets dark. Okay, let's do this last little section here now. This has been the first point where I can actually see above the trees. Whew. And it really gives you an indication of how high we are up here, man. It's crazy. I can see the sea in the distance, and it's literally just all rainforest. This is the Langkawi sky bridge, and you can see the cable car literally bringing the people up. I've made a previous video on the sky bridge and the cable car from about a year ago, so if you want to check that out, you can go back. But yeah, this is pretty cool, man. The sun is still in the sky. That's where we want to see it. We don't want to see it making its way down just yet. I can't believe my legs and just sheer will has taken me to this point. But we're not at the top yet. We still have about 20 meters to go. Officially made it to the top of Machinchang Peak. This has definitely been one of the more challenging hikes I've done here in Malaysia, that's for sure. I'm just sweating buckets. I've gone through over 2 litres of water, and the last 400 meters to the actual peak is just a climb. Let's be honest, you're literally just climbing using the ropes. All the mind games on the way up. I set little mini goals, hit each goal, and I managed to accomplish what I set out to do. If there's anything I will take from today, it's the importance of just keeping your head down and powering on. When you're doing big hikes like this, especially in Malaysia, in the rainforest, you know, you always have to give yourself enough time to get back down off the mountain. Give yourself a little bit of leeway. Always let somebody know your estimated time for returning home. Anyone can do this hike, but you really need to just allow yourself a little bit more time, you know. I left at 3 o'clock today, so I was against the clock. Realistically, I've given myself an hour and a half to get back down from the mountain. Okay, we're at the peak. I'm going to get some aerial footage. Just finishing up here at the peak now. Got some aerial footage, and you can see here behind me now the sun is starting to set. The reflection on the water is just out of this world. Machinchang Peak, it's been awesome, but I gotta get out of here.